You play a good game. That's when the tall man, he crushes that sphere. You know, yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Welcome to the world of terror. When I'm not busy embalming bodies, which isn't often, I like to relax with some good family reading. Let me introduce you to my personal library of Fangoria, the leader in horror entertainment. What a fascinatingly hideous cover of Freddy Krueger. And devilishly candid reviews of the latest horror videos. And gloriously bloody color photos from the newest Friday the 13th. They're all here in Fangoria. Can I persuade you to subscribe? Let the dead bodies wait.
Welcome to a very special episode of Dante's Drive-In. Today we're going to be talking about Phantasm. I have had 8 beers before we've even started. And now, the thing is, I recently decided, I was like, you know what? I am an alcoholic. I should stop. And so I only drink when I'm out with somebody else. I don't drink by myself anymore. But I've been fighting to doing a fucking Dante's Drive-In because I moved. I have this really wild job now and stuff like that. So you're probably thinking, where even is Dante? Where is Dante? Where in the world is Dante Graves? Basically, I'm in my new office, and I don't have any LEDs set up. So we've got this crazy little lamp. Look at this. It's like, you know. I think the lighting is pretty solid, and I want to talk about Phantasm. And we're gonna get into why, but the thing is, let me give you a little 360. Whoa. It's a weird episode of Dante's Drive-In. I'm standing up. Look at this. I've lost myself. I've lost my way, but I'm slowly but surely finding my way back. And when I think of the things that bring me joy, I think of the things that make me happy, or the things that make me want to do this, it's always something like this. And what I'm saying is, here right now, talking about Phantasm with you guys is going to make me so happy. It's going to bring me joy. And I only want to do things that make me happy. Okay? Coors Light. This is my new summer drink. I'm now a Coors Light guy. I used to be a Coors Banquet guy. I decided Coors Banquet is too heavy in the summertime. I'll switch back to Coors Banquet in the wintertime. Coors Light is for the summertime. So this is a Phantasm summer special. And the other thing is, I had this Phantasm special planned for a while. And then Reggie Bannister passed away. And so we got to talk about a few things, and then we're going to start talking about Phantasm. I'm going to give you my absolute best. This is going to be Phantasm. I'm going to do the best that I possibly fucking can for you guys, and I'm going to do the best that I possibly can for Reggie Bannister. So now, why am I emotional, other than the fact that I'm an emotional guy in general? Well, I went through a breakup of a 9-year relationship. That was hard. I had to give up my cat. Okay? Edgar, I had to give him up. That was hard. We're not going to get into it. I dealt with a bunch of financial stress recently. Okay? And that was really difficult for me. I had to deal with a bunch of other stuff. I don't want to talk about any of this stuff. Okay? But basically, things were hard. Why does this have to do with Phantasm? Because my good pal, Ethan, he had never seen Phantasm. And we started playing Terrordrome, which is a game that I've always liked. But I was like, oh yeah, we should boot that up or whatever. We were having fun playing that on like our weekends and stuff. He started playing as the tall man, and he liked the way the character played in the game Terrordrome. And I was like, well, have you ever seen Phantasm? He said, no. I said, well, you know, sometime we should actually watch it. I bet you'd really like it. You're into like science fiction. You're into kind of practical effects and stuff. And I'm a big Phantasm fan. And eventually he watched the first movie without me, really liked it. And then we ended up spending the next few weeks, every Sunday, we'd get together at a neutral shared ground, which was this office space, and we would watch Phantasm II, Phantasm III, Phantasm IV, and Phantasm V, and we'd always pair it with another movie. We'd do like a double feature, Phantasm, and then something else. And it was just a really fun way of doing things. And I told him at a certain point, we were about to watch Phantasm V, and I said, I'm like, watching these movies with you has really meant the world to me. You know, the quality can go up and down, but you sharing this time with me has done so much for me, mental health wise, and I appreciate that time with you. And it really just healed a lot and made me really like profoundly sad that we were almost done with them, because I didn't want that time to end. And I told him about Phantasm V, and I was like, you know, whatever. We wrapped it up earlier today. We just watched Phantasm V, so it's fresh in my mind now that I'm about to talk about it. Doing that made me think a lot about how 2 years ago I was supposed to go to Scarefest with my buddy Chris Brock. We went 1 year, and then the following year we were supposed to go again, and then financially it wasn't working out, so I had to cancel. Reggie Bannister was going to be there, and when Chris Brock met him, he's like, man, it's a shame you didn't meet him because he didn't seem like he was doing too well. And I love going to conventions, and I love meeting people from movies that I like, and I'm gonna regret forever that I didn't go there to meet Reggie. Because then when we're in the middle of this Phantasm thing and I'm listening to books about Phantasm and watching videos about Phantasm, and I got this fucking figure. Look at this. I got this tall man action figure from NECA Classics still on the card, and I'm like, I'm never opening that. It's so cool. We need more tall man figures, please. NECA Ultimate of the tall man and Reggie. You know, we were talking about how Reggie's health was not doing well, and then he's gone. But we're not gonna get emotional. This isn't a Dante's depression episode. In fact, Let There Be Light, maybe? They'll look kind of more muscular like this. Maybe. Basically what I'm trying to say, the whole diatribe was that I was going to be talking about Phantasm anyways, and then Reggie passed away, and I was like, okay, well now I really need to talk about Phantasm. So, welcome to Dante's Drive-In Phantasm series. We're going to review all 5 Phantasm movies. I know I don't normally call myself a reviewer, but we're going to be discussing all 5 Phantasm movies. I've got some ice cold silver bullets lined up to get me through all of this, and I hope you guys have a great time, because I know I'm gonna. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Alright, Phantasm, let's fucking do it.
Hello, my name is Angus Scrimm. Forget about that wimp, Freddy Krueger, that hoax in the hockey mask, Jason. I am the High Lord of Horror this Halloween, and for your viewing displeasure, I've resurrected 5 of the most spine-chilling, blood-curdling movies ever made.
You play a good game, boy, but now the game is finished. Now you die. My first interaction with the Phantasm movies actually did come from Terrordrome. Well, really? No, okay. Let's go far enough back. The 2000s. I'm a kid who's obsessed with Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees and Michael Myers, and I watched a bunch of movies with those guys in them. I would watch YouTube videos about Freddy vs. Jason, the sequel, and there'd be people saying like, oh, we should do Freddy vs. Jason, but throw this guy in it. Freddy vs. Jason with Candyman, Freddy vs. Jason with Pinhead, Freddy vs. Jason with Michael, Ash, you know, all these characters. And at some point somebody said, Freddy vs. Jason versus the Tall Man. Because dumb internet nonsense. But then I was like, well, I mean, like, if they're mentioning him in the same breath as all these other guys, he must be a pretty big deal. So I looked up the Tall Man, I read his, like, little Wikipedia page, and that was my first interaction. Okay? But I remember it just didn't, like, compute with my brain. Okay? And then more time goes by. I think maybe at some point in a YouTube video, I caught the image of the sphere hitting a dude in the head and drilling into his brain or whatever. Time goes on, and then I'm in late middle school, like 8th grade, and I hear about Terrordrome. Or I'd heard about it before, but I finally got to play Terrordrome. I downloaded it on my grandmother's computer, and I was in there fucking playing Terrordrome on the keyboard. And the Tall Man, I remember his theme song, and the way he operated in his little sphere thing, and he's like bleeds yellow. I was like, what is this guy, you know? And so then, like any good horror fan, once I realized that there was something new out there, the same way, so Terrordrome actually introduced me to 2 characters. One was the Tall Man, the other one was Maniac Cop. That was all the characters that I could think of that, like, I didn't know about, or, like, had never seen anything of, and then I watched the fucking movie. So, thank you, Terrordrome, for introducing me to the Tall Man. But yeah, I went out and I sought out Phantasm. I pirated it online. I am so sorry. The first Phantasm movie I watched pirated online. What makes Phantasm so special, I used to think it was like, when I was a kid trying to make my own movies, I'd say, I'm gonna make it more like Phantasm, where like you don't know what's real and it's kind of like nonsense and it's just whatever. It played a huge influence on me where it's like, do something surreal and abstract and always like dreamlike, Lynchian, you know? But that's not, when you watch Phantasm, it's not that it doesn't make sense. It's not that it doesn't feel real or like it's just total nonsense or whatever. It makes perfect sense, but it's so heavy on sci-fi, but also the supernatural, and also like old-timey horror, but also its own kind of brand of horror, that because it deals with cemeteries and crypts and mausoleums and little monsters and stuff like that, but it also deals with like different dimensions and objects that can harm you that you don't understand or even know how they fucking work, and they feel nightmarish or dreamlike because they're just so abstract, but like it whatever. And the tall man himself, that first scene when he shows up and slaps a hand onto Jodie's shoulder and says, "The funeral is about to begin," he comes off like, every person I think has encountered an old person that's like, okay, I'm scared of you because you have been a lot more places than me, and you know a lot more than me, and you're very rude, you're not kind, you're not even just cold, you're mean. And that is frightening. And I think it leads to, it makes the tall man have this almost like authority figure kind of energy to him that makes him frightening throughout the movie. And then when he does things, I guess I'm kind of doing like a psych evaluation on myself, but like when the tall man does something, and it's like, when you're a kid and an adult is being mean or telling you to do something or doing something to you that is harming you or scaring you or hurting you, you feel like, you feel really, really powerless. And the tall man, this is so deep to be hitting on in the first Phantasm movie, but you feel really like helpless, because it's like, well, he's taller, he's bigger, he's older, he's smarter, he's more powerful. And so he's like the ultimate authority figure, because it's like, why am I doing this? Because I said so. That's basically what it is. And that's really a scary concept. And him being the physical manifestation basically of death in this franchise, which I think, you know, more or less is what he is, makes that, all of that other stuff, even like you really, like you sit there and you just get stuck in your craw because you can't really unpack why it's sticking with you and why it's frightening you, but that's what it is. It's like, he's this authority figure. He is the final boss of Patriarch. He is the tall man, and you don't understand him, you can never understand him, and you can never win against him. He's just this insurmountable, all-knowing, all-powerful, all-evil force that has his own plans, and to him they make sense, and you'll never talk him out of them, because he's not even on the same wavelength as you. He's not in the same dimension as you. He's not from the same dimension as you. He's a scary fucking character. And to say nothing of how likable Mike, Jodie, and Reggie are as the leads, okay? This movie has just such an eerie, haunting atmosphere with an incredible fucking score. And it's so well shot, and it feels like a movie that, like, when you're watching it, you're like, I'm staying up past my bedtime. I'm watching something I shouldn't see. It just has that eerie, old-timey, visiting your grandparents' house and you don't feel really well kind of vibe to it. Which is weird. It's a weird vibe. I don't know how to describe it other than what I just said. When I first watched it, what I connected to about it was the Michael character. And as the series went on, very much the character I connected to was Reg. The movie also has, like, okay, I think what the staying power of it, because it is a scary movie, and like there's these frightening sequences of like night terrors and nightmares, and there's this abstract weird logic to it, and there's these science fiction creatures. Because if you don't know what Phantasm is about, it's basically, you know, this interdimensional alien mortician guy. He goes to these cemeteries and basically clears all of the corpses out and puts them into this other dimension where they become like his minions, and they shrink down because of the gravity in that dimension that makes them like little dwarves. They look like Jawas from Star Wars. And he has other fucking machinations as well, like this sphere, this metal ball with like weapons in it that flies after you and is incredibly lethal. And he goes and he basically just is doing that. He's taking the dead and he's absorbing them into being part of his like fucking order. Okay, and you don't understand it, you don't know why he's there, how he's there, what all he can do, what he can't do, what can stop him, what won't stop him, and he just terrifies you for that reason. He can go into your mind, he can move things with his mind, he's got super strength, you can't kill him, he bleeds yellow, he's this alien weird thing, but also taking the form of a classical horror, spooky, creepy thing. A mortician, a tall, creepy old man, you know? So, a brilliant fucking character, but, and basically our characters, Michael, Jody, and Reggie, all have to try and fucking stop him. And what I think connects Phantasm to everything else, like what makes it stick in your craw, even aside from all the horror elements I just brought up, is something that the sequels expound upon, which is that Phantasm, I don't mean to say this, because I know there are definitely female fans of Phantasm. Phantasm is so guy-coded. You know, it's like, oh, I got a cool gun. I got a hot girlfriend. I got a cool car. You know, whatever. But what makes it so powerful is that, like, even all these things that, like, every guy wants. Like, I want to be able to drink beer, drive a cool car, and fucking just fight crazy things with a gun, you know? And have a hot girlfriend. It's like, the tall man, none of those things have any effect on him. And so as the franchise goes on and leans more and more into those horror elements, it makes it like every guy's fantasy while also being every guy's worst nightmare. Every guy's phantasm, if you will. And I think that is what makes it kind of brilliant. Like, because it's every guy can see themselves in Reggie or Michael or Jody, and then as this franchise goes on, it's like, yeah, and there's no way to win. And your little fucking thing that you have is adorable to the tall man. You're powerless. You have no fucking hope of ever defeating him. And it's like, damn, that sticks with you, you know? And I think even that first movie, every sequel, people can complain all they want about how it goes too far into action or whatever. No, because even that first movie has car explosion, gun play, and you know, all this other kind of stuff that they expound upon more, yes, when they get more money in the sequels and stuff like that. But in this very first movie, it is very much like a guy nightmare. It is a meditation on grief. It's a million things that people have already said before me, but what I think it really, when I think about Phantasm, the thing that sticks with me is that idea of like being at your grandparents' house with the wood paneling on the walls and just having a really scary nightmare and nobody being able to comfort you about it. And that's the power of that first movie, that very first movie, is that it's just a haunting, creepy, eerie nightmare movie.
Any great horror show needs a heavy helping of the unknown. The 50s classics, The Thing and The Blob, had strange, deadly creatures from other worlds. But my next favorite came in the 70s. In The Exorcist, the mysterious invader was much more sinister. The story of the little girl possessed by the devil sent horrified audiences running from the theaters.
Amen.
Linda Blair is the innocent turned evil.
You left her alone to die.
And we're back with Dante's Drive-In. Now we're going to be talking about Phantasm II this summer. The ball is back. Coming soon to a theater near you. Phantasm II is my favorite in the franchise. And the reason why, so I watched that first movie, and I remember watching I think it was like Piz Owl, which I don't like to talk shit about other creators, Especially not ones that I've watched for so long. But Pizzle, stop using fucking AI, bro. There's so many fucking horror YouTubers now that are just totally jumping on the fucking bandwagon of doing the fucking AI thing. Stop it, okay? Like, I'm not gonna hate you forever or think you're a bad person or whatever, because, you know, I think when AI first got wheeled out, everybody kind of jumped on it and was like, oh, what can it do? I made it do this. Look at this funny thing I did. But the more and more that we learn about this thing, stop fucking using it, guys. It's bad. It's not good, okay? And so when I see another fucking creator using it, I'm like, okay, just, yeah, I low-key stopped watching Pizzle, but I remember back in the day, Scream Factory did a awesome Blu-ray release of Phantasm II, which I have, it's just locked up in storage. But I remember when they put out that fucking Scream Factory release, and I'd watch a bunch of videos of people. That was when Scream Factory like really started to have this huge come up. They did this amazing, beautiful release of Phantasm II with all these special features, and it was remastered and all this stuff. And that was the first time I ever kind of learned a lot about the sequels to Phantasm, but it was mainly that second one. You learn a lot about what went into these movies, and that second movie, it was very much like, okay, after Phantasm, Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street all become huge franchises, and horror is huge, okay? And so then, in like the late 80s, they're like, we need other franchises to come in and make more horror movies. They approached Don Coscarelli, they're like, we want to do Phantasm II, and it was very much treated as if it was going to be another entry in these big franchises. So they dumped a shit ton of money into it, and they made it like a blockbuster movie. They wanted to make like a slam bang crowd pleaser movie, and that was Phantasm II, and it came out in this summer, sandwiched between all these other sequels to like Short Circuit, Crocodile Dundee, something else, okay? And poor Phantasm II just got swallowed up underneath all these other movies. And so Phantasm II just and it was gone when they just put so much into it. I've recently rewatched all these movies, and I remember Phantasm II always being my favorite. I will say it has not aged as well as I remember, because when I first watched Phantasm II, it was on that Scream Factory Blu-ray release, and it was just a big deal. It was like going out, buying that fucking copy from FYE, and being like, yes, Phantasm II, and this epic red and black fucking artwork that was all over the cover, and it was just like, yes, you know? And I was going in there being like, having heard all these stories about how Phantasm II is this big summer blockbuster version of the first movie, watching it and like just kind of like eating my popcorn and just loving Phantasm II. No notes, you know? And I loved it. But every time I've rewatched it since, I am like, okay, if you had the resources you had to do Phantasm II, you should have done more. Because it was like anything we needed, they had the money of Universal Pictures to make it. And the movie they eventually turned out is like, I know it was supposed to be a crowd pleaser, but the middle half of this movie really kind of just sags. I like it, but I think I'm looking at it now more as like a business person, and I'm like, okay, you guys really thought that this was going to fucking turn a huge profit. What are you thinking? Like, it's the beginning of the movie is so strong with the house explosion, and then the second house explosion. And then they go into the hardware store and they weapon up, and Reggie builds that amazing fucking quad barrel shotgun weapon, and they take off in the Himikuta, fucking awesome car, and they're like, let's kick ass. And then as time goes on, you're like, okay, like, you know, because it really hits the ground running. Like, we are basically monster hunters now. We're the Winchester brothers from Supernatural. We're the Ghostbusters. We go and hunt the Tall Man and all of his minions and stuff like that, and they have all these different creatures that they fight, and it's really awesome. But just that middle half just like fucks around too much. That's really all it is. It just like, let's get fucking moving is all you want to fucking yell at the goddamn movie. And then the last part of it is so good, or the beginning and the end are like, whoa, fuck yeah. And then that middle part, it's just kind of like, okay, look, come on, you know. I still appreciate it for its vibes, and I love the movie. I'm just simply saying that, like, I understand, unfortunately, why the movie didn't do super well. Not even just taking into account that it went up against some serious fucking competition this summer that it came out. Which, why the fuck was Phantasm 2 a summer release anyways. Phantasm 2 should have come out in like October or like January or March. Would have been fine. You know, but they put it out there in the summer. I don't understand that. I like Phantasm 2. It sounds like I don't fucking like it. I do like it. The things I like the most about it, though, putting Reggie front and center. Reggie Bannister, again, we talked about him in the first Phantasm, but Reggie Bannister is like... People compare him a lot to Ash, and I think that is accurate, but I think he's his own beast. Just this dude in a plaid shirt, plays guitar, he's an ice cream dude, he's fucking Norwood Reaper has absolutely come for this fucking guy. And he just is chill, he's loving, he's supportive, he's funny, he's just insanely likable to spend time with. He's got a cool car and a cool gun, doesn't really like doing violence, but he will when he's forced to. And he's battling this interdimensional evil fucking force. You have to root for the guy. And in this movie, you see him use like flamethrowers and escape exploding cars, and he gets in this fucking chainsaw fight in one part. It's awesome. It's a fucking awesome movie. Any movie that has a chainsaw fight in it, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, Motel Hell, this movie, those are three. Name more in the comments below. Chainsaw fights. I want to see them. So any movie that has a chainsaw fight in it automatically is awesome. Okay, but like the chainsaw fight in this movie, you know, he has that tiny little chainsaw, and the other guy just pulls up this giant like fucking Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 chainsaw, and he's like, "Yo, come on, motherfucker!" And they fucking fight. It's so awesome. I also just fucking love the part where they're like melting the tall man. It felt very much like, okay, we're upping the ante from how we killed him in the first one. The first one, you know, oh what, he gets buried in the mine by some fucking rocks. Ugh. This one they fucking like melt him and like these yellow ooze just coming off, his skin's coming off. It's like, oh man, they fucking killed his ass. And I love the like the nonsense of like, oh, we need a sphere to open the door to get into his little tuning fork area. And then they, you know, inject him full of all this acid. They're escaping in the car. It's such a great cliffhanger where, you know, it's just a dream. It's just a dream. And then, no, it's not. And they pull him out and then immediately fucking punch you in the face with the Phantasm theme song. Whenever I think of Phantasm 2, that's what I think of. Whenever I think of Phantasm 3, I think of the same fucking ending thing. You know, I just like, oh, like you thought you had him, but you didn't. There's no way to win. Phantasm theme song hits. It's so sick. I love that theme song. I listen to it at the gym and shit like that. I'm serious. I love the Phantasm theme song. I love the other characters they encounter along the way, like Alchemy. It's like, what's really crazy about Reggie is that, like, yes, he is like, okay, why would any woman ever want to fuck this guy? But when you're watching the movies, it doesn't really come off like odd. You're like, yeah, he's just got so much riz. He's just a cool dude to hang out with. Why wouldn't they want to? And then you're like, okay, well, thinking about it after the fact, it's like, it is a little weird, but it just works when you're watching it. And I also love that in all the Phantasm movies, even like, especially 2 and 3, every house just looks like that house that they're staying at, or this house that they're visiting, or this house that they're dropping by to grab something. Every single house in this universe looks like a fucking haunted house. It looks like that house in general could be its own fucking horror movie. But they're just popping in real quick to go do something, and then they're gonna leave, or something, or they're staying here for the night and they're gonna leave. It leads to, like, I'll be driving around and I'll see a house and I'm like, that looks like a house that'd be in Phantasm. It's a unique thing. This discussion sucks, but hey, I talked about Phantasm 2. Okay, the stuff about replacing Mike. That's the thing. They replaced Mike with James LaGrosse, and I think James LaGrosse does fine in the movie. He's not bad, but it's definitely like it sticks out like a sore thumb that Michael Baldwin isn't there. When you learn more about like the production of the movie, you understand why he's not, and it's still like, it just sucks. Like if I could go back, could I put Michael in there? Yes, I absolutely would, you know? But it just leaves Phantasm II feeling like, when you're watching all the Phantasm movies, like, it definitely fits. It's not like, oh, this one feels weird and incongruous with the other ones. But when you're watching it, it's just like, it makes Phantasm II very much feel like that summer blockbuster that's separate from the cult status of the other ones. And it makes Phantasm II this weird little anomaly. Am I saying it makes it better? It just makes it stand out more. That's really all I'm trying to say. I like it. I love it even. But yeah, it just has like a odd thing in there where it's like, okay, well, this is the only one that Michael's not in. Phantasm III, Lord of the Dead. After having rewatched all these movies very recently, because I remember watching Phantasm 3 when, this is when, so I watched Phantasm 2 in that Scream Factory release. Phantasm 3 I first watched when it hit that 5 movie set that they released with Phantasm 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in there. And when I first watched it, I just kind of felt like it was more Phantasm 2 and I really loved it. And then there was one other time that I watched it and I was like, I don't like this. Something about it's just not clicking with me. And then this most recent time that I watched it, I fucking loved it. I was like, what was I thinking? The little kid that's like Kevin McAllister with his little Home Alone traps. Rocky is such a fucking great character. Roxanne, whatever. She's probably my favorite character in all of Phantasm. I love that character. She takes out a fucking sphere with nunchucks. Okay, that's awesome. It also just has this very fast pace, but also it maintains the eerie, you know, cemetery, embalming a dead body, kind of like whatever the fuck lore of the first movie. But it has that action elements of the second movie. Really, the second movie also still does have that eerie horror atmosphere. Not to like disparage the second movie at all, because I love Phantasm 2. But Phantasm 3 just feels like they really struck the balance perfectly, and the pace is just so much better than Phantasm 2, in my personal opinion. I don't know. And I love the added elements of lore that they present in this movie. I really feel like if they... I don't know, if they had taken like... It's like stupid to play fantasy movie booking like this, but like if they'd taken the budget of Phantasm 4 and put it into 3, and then taken a few of the elements of 3 and put it into the second one, you could have had 3 really solid Phantasm movies. But I do very much like Phantasm the way it is, where it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean 5, we're gonna get into that, but like 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all like, yes, my Phantasm movies. I'm happy. So I'm not asking for them to fucking do it in any other way, but I just think like, man, like there was really something here that they didn't fucking expound upon. Phantasm 3, you know, introduces all these new characters. It very much feels like a road movie, even more so than the second one, in my opinion, because they go to so many locations in Phantasm 3, and they also introduce all these new characters that are like, you know, now they're along for the ride. They're along for the journey. It feels like a quest that you add people to your party, and they all have different abilities and different traits and different quirks and different things that they're good at, or different things that frighten them or weaken them, and I think that's really fucking cool. I also think that the tall man in this movie is more frightening than he had been in any previous Phantasm movie. He has more lines of dialogue. He feels like he has more power and more control in this one than maybe, I mean, with the exception of the 4 and 5. He gets way more powerful as every movie goes on, basically. But in this one, it just felt like the perfect balance of like, especially at the end, you know, you think you really fucking got him, and it's over, and then he pops out there, it's never over. You're like, fuck! But you're like, that's so awesome. And then again, hits you with that fucking Phantasm theme song. Phantasm 3 is the one that where it really sets in that you're like, okay, there's no way to fucking win against this guy. And all these new threats and things that he brings up, these new zombies or new creatures or whatever, things to throw at us, it's not even like he's trying to stop us. He's more just fucking with us, is what Phantasm 3 really kind of makes it feel like. Phantasm 2, you still feel like you have some kind of foothold in like, okay, we can stop him, let's try this. And Phantasm 3 is when it starts to really lay the groundwork of like, You're actually dealing with a fucking being that's so far out there that you're fucked, you know? I love the tone, I love the way that it makes me feel, and I love the characters in it. It also, like, I think every Phantasm movie has a pretty decent climax, but I think Phantasm III has the best one. The only one that really doesn't have, like, a very climax at all is Phantasm V, and we'll get into that. But, like, every single one, it's like, okay, yeah, this is where the final kind of showdown with the tall man will happen in this one, and here's the new way that we dispatch the tall man in this one. But then they'll like, oh no, that didn't work because he's got another fucking guy that can pop out of the dimensional forks and it's fine. And it also, the other thing is like, maybe I should wait to talk about it in Phantasm IV, but like, you know, Jedediah Morningside creates those dimensional forks and they're very like big. There's these large like fucking electrodes on them, and he has to like power this big gear shifting thing to walk through them. And then they are simplified in Phantasm. By the time we catch up to that part in the timeline, they're just like these little things in the ground. And it's like this white room that you go through. And then in Phantasm II, it's still like that, but there's like a lock on the door. And then in Phantasm III, he can pop dimensional forks up anywhere he really fucking wants to. And then in Phantasm IV, they're all over the fucking place. It really does feel like a gradual kind of like he's growing more powerful, or he's honing in his ability as time goes on. You know, I think that's pretty neat. And it's like a little tiny thing. Like when you rewatch the movies over and over, it makes them better because you're like, you can pick up on like I know people say like, we want more answers, we want to know more. It's like the movies tell you quite a bit. You don't really need to know everything, you know. And it's just, I kind of like that about Phantasm 3, is that it's just like, here is the thing, you're fucking ready to go. And also, when Ethan and I watched Phantasm 3, I ate a bunch of popcorn, drank a ton of fucking beer. We watched, I think, Pumpkinhead right after it. Or no, we watched Pumpkinhead after Phantasm 4. What did we watch from Phantasm? Whatever. I ate some stuffed chili peppers with the bacon wrapped around them. I heated those up. And I ate some fucking buffalo mac and cheese. And I just was having a delightful fucking day. And so did that play into my perception or opinion of Phantasm 3? Maybe. But doesn't matter. I really, really like the movie. How did Reggie get another Himikuta is my big question. Because even in Phantasm Exhumed, they don't really explain that. His Himikuta blows up. I know one is a 1970 and one is a 1971 that has a fucking collapsible roof. It's a convertible Himikuta. But they blow the one up in the second one. And as far as we knew in Phantasm 1, that was Jodie's car and nobody else had it. So I don't know. They never really explained, like, did he repair the same one, or it's a different car. It's a 1971, whereas in the second one is a 1970 Himikuta. I could even be wrong about that. I don't know. I'll let you know right here if I'm wrong. But I'm almost certain that he just has another Himikuta, which I'm not complaining. I'm glad the fucking car is here. But yeah, it's just weird. And that's the thing is, like, Phantasm 3 is supposed to be a direct-to-video movie, but it very much feels like just as big of a budget as Phantasm 2, which just makes me think, I'm like, I almost feel like they spent their budget on Phantasm 2 on just dumb shit. Like, Phantasm 2 could have been an even stronger movie. I love the movie. I'm not shitting on it. I'm just simply saying, like, we could have had a really crazy Phantasm 2, but it feels like they just didn't use their budget properly. I don't fucking know. Because Phantasm 3 ended up going fucking direct-to-video, even though it very much feels like it could have been a theatrical release. The only ones of these that really feel like they are direct-to-video movies is Phantasm 4 and Phantasm 5. Thankfully, Phantasm 4 doesn't suffer quite as much, which we're about to talk about right now on Dante's Driving. It's never over.
Here's Johnny.
So there are 4 of my top 5 psychos of cinema. But what's number 1? These people at Extra might have their own idea, but I say the Pharaoh of Fright, the Sultan of Screams, is of course me in my new movie, Phantasm III, Lord of the Dead.
Welcome back to Dante's Driving. Phantasm 4, Oblivion. Oblivion! Phantasm IV I used to not like at all. When I first got that 5-pack, and it was actually, it's so funny, it's like every time I go through a breakup I find my way back to Phantasm, but I went through a breakup years and years and years ago. And I got that Phantasm V movie set. And I was going through all of them again, Phantasm 1, 2, 3, still love them. I got to Phantasm 4. Damn it! Stop burping! I got to Phantasm 4 and I was like, okay. The opening scene where Reggie, they got like some stock footage of him, like his best moments and stuff, and he's like, I am a soldier in an army fighting the tall man and his forces of the undead. I'm like, yes, yes. And there's a pretty cool part where, you know, he's in the cop car, and the fucking zombie guy's on the top, and he's grabbing the fucking shotgun, like blowing it, fucking shooting the dude through the top of the car. That's pretty cool. He's got his little moment with the fucking dwarves. Yeah, at the end where he kind of fights like waves of them as he's waiting for Michael to get out of the fucking dimensional forks with the tall man, and he, you know, he shoots fucking multiple ones, and there's the one on the top of the car, and he shoots that one, and it's like, hell yeah, you know, like we're doing Phantasm stuff. Those two parts that I just talked about, those were the things that stuck out in my fucking head. The shotgun part in the car, and the shotgun part with the fucking dwarves at the end. And the rest of this movie was a bit of a slog for me. I got older. I got a little wiser, and I happen to think now that Phantasm IV Oblivion is the thinking man's Phantasm movie. Yes, coming off of the slam-bang action blockbusters that are Phantasm II and Phantasm III, Phantasm IV can feel a little slow. The usage of stock footage from the first movie, or at least like unused footage from the first movie, can feel a little cheap. It can feel like cheating. It can feel like they're cheating. Okay. The fact that like a lot of this movie takes place on the road or in like the desert or at like a rest stop or like a fucking rundown motel. It's like, okay, they were working with like a very, very fucking shoestring budget, and they tried to make the most with the budget that they had. And you feel that. But it's a thinking man's Phantasm movie in the sense that the first Phantasm movie is a thinking man's Phantasm movie. And I really do feel like Phantasm IV kind of does get back to what made the first movie so cool, which is like sporadic moments of nightmarish, weird shit, and then weird, surreal, what is real, am I dreaming, am I not, kind of stuff. Weird logic, science fiction meets the supernatural and going together like this kind of thing. There's elements to it that's like, this very much feels like the first Phantasm. Not just because it's slower and there's less shotgun Himikuda stuff happening, but because it has that tone of like, these forks bring us into another dimension. Look at this. Oh, this is the guy that created the dimensional forks, and you know, he became the tall man. I like all that origin stuff. It's really kind of cool to see all that stuff. So when people are like, we want more answers, I'm like, you basically got a lot of answers from Phantasm IV. So you don't need to know a ton more. Like, you know, do I need to know what every single fucking tiny thing is that the tall man fucking brings into this goddamn universe? No, I don't. I understand it. It's like, you know, he's this weird fucking dimensional fucking freak. I get it. I get it. What makes it even stronger is that, so in my research about the Phantasm movies, I learned that there was supposed to be a movie called Phantasm 1999, and then it was called Phantasm 2013. It was supposed to have Bruce Campbell in it. It was going to be written by Robert Avery, who worked on Pulp Fiction, and they were going to make this big fucking like apocalyptic finale to the Phantasm movies. And Phantasm 4 was more, I'm skipping a ton of fucking stuff because I don't want to go off on a huge tirade, but Phantasm 4 was essentially written to be like, what if we did a movie that would set up that movie, but in case that movie doesn't happen, this movie can be the last one. So it was very meticulously crafted to be as such. Being as that is it a satisfying conclusion? I don't personally think so. It ends, for me personally, far too vague, dreamlike. What happened? What didn't happen? Did they defeat the tall man? Did they not? Did any of it ever happen? I don't want that. I understand that's what Phantasm is, but like, yeah, but it's also like, you know, I care about these characters and I just want to know if like things worked out for them. And I think the final confrontation with the tall man where he comes out of the forks and they have this kind of little trap for him, you know, and he grabs Reggie by the throat, you know, small man, ice cream man, a toy, all that stuff, and throws him. I mean, like, it works as the climax to this chapter to set up a bigger chapter. For me, knowing what Phantasm V is, I am inclined to just be like, no, Phantasm 1, 2, 3, and 4, I'm good. But like, that's not to be too mean, but you know, still, Phantasm 4 has aged significantly better for me because, essentially, I moved out of that place. I'm staying at a place while I'm waiting for my new place. I'm staying actually with my friend Kay Lee, who you might know as Gwen, or Arco Iris, or whatever the fuck. And so I was watching all the Phantasm movies, and I was like, you know, I want to watch one I haven't watched in a long time, because Ethan had watched Phantasm 1, and I watched Phantasm fucking 4. And I just loved seeing my friends again. I loved seeing Reggie and Jody and Mike and the tall man and this world and these spheres and the music. I just loved being there. And then I was like, okay, you know, that was clearly very much like I just can't even think critically about it because I'm just happy to be here. But then when I started watching these movies with Ethan and like week to week, we got to Phantasm 4 and I was really excited. And watching it, I was just invested more than I ever have. I wasn't bored at all. There was enough cool shit happening, enough cool lore happening. There's tons of lore in Phantasm 4. And if you're really there for lore, Phantasm Oblivion is the movie that you want to watch. Because it's got all of it in spades. And I do think the climax now is a bit more satisfying. And I also think, especially the moment where Reggie switches back into the Ice Cream Man outfit and he loads the shotgun, leaves the Himikuta there, and he goes to confront the fucking tall man. I'm not gonna start crying. But like, and like the music swells and it's just like, yes. I love Phantasm. That's how I felt when I watched it. Woo! A toy. You play a good game, boy. But the game is finished. Now you die.
There's this real scary guy, the tall man who has this thing for killing people. He digs it. Anyway, last time I saw him was in those Phantasm pictures, but word is, he's been spotted around here. I don't know. Evening, sir.
That's right. It's Angus Scrim in the flesh. And I have been hanging around with these deadbeats lately. But here now is someone who is far from dead. A man on fire. Jerry Lee Lewis.
Okay. Phantasm V. Ravager. I don't hate this movie. I don't. I know a lot of people do. I don't. When the movie came out, I remember... I know I said like I got that 5-pack thing. I probably ended up... because I'm drawing from a memory from 10 years ago is the thing. And... My memory is fuzzy, but I kind of remember renting Phantasm V Ravager from a place called Family Video in Greenfield, Iowa, which doesn't exist anymore. But I rented it, and because I want to say I had seen Phantasm 1, 2, 3, and 4 by pirating them. And I didn't really give them all my full attention because I was a dumb kid and whatever. And so I watched Phantasm V as just like, here it is. You know, this is Phantasm V. The parts of Phantasm V that stuck out to me the most when I first watched it, and I remember because I have not seen the movie again until today. I rewatched it today, so it's very fresh in my mind. And before this, I'd seen it 10 fucking years ago. I was a big fan of John Dies at the End, and I noticed a lot of carryover in terms of like special effects and just the way the movie looked from that. But I noticed Don Coscarelli didn't direct Phantasm V. And something about it worked for me back then. Just like how fucking low budget it was. Me at the time, I don't use the term aspiring filmmaker anymore because Joe Bob Briggs told me not to. But at the time, I very much was an aspiring filmmaker because I had not made any movies. And I looked at Phantasm V and just how fucking rudimentary it was and how, like, cheap, and you could see all of the seams and whatever, and how, like, creative they had to get to stretch it to be a fucking runtime. And I was like, I appreciated some fucking weird aspect of it from that, you know? And I appreciated the movie, but I was bummed by the ending. I remember the ending disappointing me, and then the only parts of the movie I really remembered was Reggie getting his car back. I loved that scene. You know, you don't see too many 71 Cudas driving around. I used to have one myself, and I had to park it somewhere to go take care of some business, except mine, of course, had a, you know, silver-plated fucking whatever the fuck, you know, the gun in the middle part. And the guy looks there, and he's like, oh, weird. And then he kicks the glove compartment, it flips out there. He's like, oh, that's right. It was in the glove compartment. Now get the fuck out of my car. I mean, that part was awesome. You know, him getting his car back. I was one of my favorite Reggie moments of the whole franchise. And then I also loved all the parts where Reggie is talking with the tall man. Even though Angus Scrimm was very fucking old, he still very much was having a great time being here. Reggie Bannister was having a great time. I think Mike had a great time. Everybody else who came in for like a little brief cameo and stuff like that, they seemed like they were having a great time. At the end of the day, though, this is barely a movie. You know, all the nice things I can say about it is like, yeah, it's great for the fans that they at least got something. Oh, I'm glad people had fun making it. You know, when you really, really look back, I don't like being like this. Especially not after Reggie passed away. But the movie just does not do it. You know, especially rewatching it. It's like, is it a satisfying conclusion? No. And I think that's the biggest thing you can say. Is it a good movie on its own? No. Does it have fun moments? Yes. Would I prefer it not exist? Absolutely not. I'm glad it exists. I'm glad I got to see it. But it's just like, this is all we could come up with. Not even come up with. They had a ton of ideas. And this movie very much is like a Frankenstein version of all of the Phantasm movies, and also all of the unmade fucking scripts from Phantasm 1999 or whatever. They combine them together and they're like, let's just make something for the fans. Just for the fans. We're not trying to go and be in a bunch of theaters. The days of Phantasm II being a big summer blockbuster are long behind us. They are just trying to make a fucking fun movie for the fans. The PHANS. Fans, okay? And I think it's a fun movie for the fans, almost as like a, oh, by the way, didn't you know they did that once? As like a fun thing. It doesn't feel like a real movie. It doesn't have a conclusion. It doesn't have like any answers. It doesn't have any new lore. I mean, it does. Everything. It's impossible to not have any new lore. It doesn't add anything of significance. It's just what it is. And it's the cheapness of it shows through. But I guess my frustration is like, a franchise that has a classic movie starting at Phantasm, that has cult favorites in Phantasm 2, 3, and even 4, and the action figure. They made a NECA Cult Classics figure of the Tall Man. You know, And a mysterious undertaker with superhuman strength. The Tall Man stalks the Morningside Cemetery, populating the world with his undead legions. Armed with his band of flying metal spheres, the Tall Man wages war against humanity. And he came out in the same wave as New Nightmare Freddy Krueger, Pretty Woman Leatherface, which has been redone tons of times since then, and then Donnie Darko, and there's Phantasm, the Tall Man. Tall Man features Silver Sphere, Evil Minion, and Portal Base. Those are called dimensional forks. And the sphere, those are called sentinels. Learn your fucking Phantasm lore, NECA. I guess it's like for all of that fanfare, they couldn't have made more. They couldn't have gotten more money together. Like nobody could just say like, "Hey, let's do Phantasm V and let's really do it." They tried to make it like it was going to be like a web series, and they shot all this other content, and it's content that you see in the end credits of the movie, and it's like, don't worry about any of that. Just make one more movie and just tie it all up. You know, they try to pay homage to all these scripts, and they have the bit with like all the Mad Max stuff going on, and it's like, but you don't have the money to show that stuff. And I guess it just frustrates me because like you're watching Phantasm Ravager and you can feel like you are in the hands of a person that wants to show you some really cool shit but can't because of money. And so you're empathetic to that, but then you're constantly sitting there being like, oh well, they had to cut back to the hospital stuff because they don't have the money to show the fucking world being on fire and stuff because of the tall man or whatever. And it just makes it all feel so fucking cheap. And then it breaks your immersion over and over and over again. And with a fucking extremely heavy heart, I can say Phantasm V really sucks. Damn it. If I really hate a movie, I don't talk about it like this. This is the thing. I want Phantasm V to be that motherfucking movie. It just is not. And to pretend anything other than that. Will I ever revisit it? Probably. Because the thing is, when I'm watching all the Phantasm movies, inevitably I'm like, yeah, well, I gotta watch all of them. And I can say, like, oh, there's nothing good about Phantasm V. That's just not true. There are things I do like about it. I love when Reggie gets his car back. I love the conversations he has with the tall man. I like a lot of that Mad Max type shit. Like, it almost is like just enough to get me to give it a pass. I would have loved it if it had been in like a bigger movie. If they had done the movie with Bruce Campbell and all that kind of stuff. But either way, we'll always have the first 4 and that 5th one. And essentially, we'll always have the first one. You know, I don't like to ever be like that either. Like, oh, well, the rest will... Because honestly, if Phantasm was just Phantasm, I would be like, yeah, it's a great movie, watch it. But because it's this franchise where we get to just know Reggie and know Mike and get attached to them and go on this journey with them and all this shit, it hits me in the feels way more. All this shit was really hard because I'm like, I really wanted to meet Reggie at Scarefest and I just missed it. And then you hear all these people talk about like meeting him and how cool he was. I never got to meet Angus Scrimm either, you know? And Phantasm, I mean, is it in the... I don't even know if it's in like my top 5 horror franchises. It's like Halloween, Evil Dead. I'd have to think about that some other time. I'll have to do that at some point, like my favorite horror franchises. But like, I don't know, Phantasm's definitely in the top 10, you know? And it's very near and dear to me. I hear that theme song and it's just like, yes, you know? And watching them with my friend has done a lot for me. I wanted to do this video on better circumstances, but then shit happened. Ugh. R.I.P. Reggie Bannister. I miss you. I miss you already. You played an excellent game, Ice Cream Man, and I hope you rest in power. Okay? I am done with this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this new episode of Dante's Drive-In. More is to come.
I'm feeling much better now. Anyway, there you have it. My top 5 Halloween videos for 1994. Of course, there are hundreds of fine frights to be had at your local video store. But remember, just because it's a movie doesn't mean it can't come true. Have a howling Halloween. I'm Angus Scrimm.
He's pretty scary, isn't he?
Very scary.
Wow.
Good suggestions, by the way, too.